Mark Brennan of Fight On State here, once again joined by Greg Pickel, this time for our Bill O'Brien end of the season press conference wrap-up. I'll spit that all out. It's kind of a mouthful, but it was a sort of eventful day. We had not heard from Bill O'Brien since after the Wisconsin game, and obviously since then an awful lot has happened. Within the last week or so, Bill O'Brien interviewing with some NFL teams, came here today to set the record straight, decided to come back to Penn State, and first and foremost, he wanted everybody to know, and I think he was getting a little emotional about this. I was right up in front, and I think there may have been some tears in his eyes. He was really offended by some of the reports that he was trying to strong-arm an extra $1.3 million out of Penn State for himself. And again, he categorically denied that. And Dave Joyner, afterward, the AD, talked to us. He denied it as well. The one thing that he was not clear on, though, is Penn State getting extra money for other things. I think what he wanted to make very clear is that he's never asked for a raise at any place that he's been, and that in this instance he absolutely did not try to strong arm a raise out of Penn State.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, he said, go back 20 years over my coaching career, my coaching tenure, you'll find nobody that I've ever asked for a raise of. And he said that's the same thing today with Penn State, Terry Pegula, Dave Joyner, Rodney Erickson. And you know, we talk a lot about that fighting Irishman nature of Bill O'Brien, that Irish anger, that Irish passion, and he had that today, there's no doubt about it. He was just very adamant, very firm that there was no raise ever discussed, there was no power play, there was no leverage. This was all about his love for Penn State, and you know, he was very straight up and honest. He wanted to see what the next level showed. It's the highest pinnacle of his profession, which he said numerous times, but at the end of the day, he came back to Penn State, and that's really the driving message he had today.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I'm not sure how much of this people may have seen. I know his press conference was carried live on the Big Ten Network, but he kind of marched in, sat down, joked with the media, and just dove right in. And he went on for about 15 minutes without a question being asked. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I mean, the closest was Stephon Morris when he went on talking about 10 minutes when he was asked one question. But Bill O'Brien was not even asked a question. And so he clearly wanted to set the record straight on some things. And you know, how much of the record was set straight, I'm not sure. I never bought the fact that he was strong-arming them for a $1.3 million raise. I think what he did get across, though, was that he does think that there are things that Penn State has to do better, that they have to invest more money into to keep up with the Joneses. One of the things that he talked about specifically was having more recruiting personnel, and I know that you covering recruiting could really have a good appreciation for that.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the thing with his recruiting personnel right now is that Bill Cavanaugh is really the director of things right now. He sort of takes calls, gives calls. But the way the NCAA works and the way it might work with some new rule changes they're putting into effect is that the more people you can have in your recruiting office, the better. Why? Because the people in that office, if certain rules and bylaws are adopted and passed, will be able to not just play secretary for recruits, but they'll be able to go out and scout and watch film and give insight. Not that Bill Cavanaugh can't do that now, give insight. He can't watch film, he can't go out and evaluate. And I think that really gives a lot of schools an advantage, especially one like Penn State, because as we've talked about since Bill O'Brien came here a year ago today, the NFL guys he brings with him know what they want, they know what they're looking for. And the more of those guys he can get in here and get out there on the road watching, looking, and seeing what they want to bring in here, the better off they're going to be during this 15 scholarship sanctioned period.
Yeah, one of the real issues is that right now, as you look at the Penn State staff, and I don't know exactly what an Ohio State or Michigan or whoever else has, but from what I understand, when you look at the Penn State staff, the actual assistant coaches and head coach are asked to do a lot of things that may be more easily done by, I don't know whether you would call it graduate assistants or people who are further down on the food chain, whether it comes to analyzing tape, whether it comes to maybe communicating via Facebook or some of these other things. And I think that's one of the things that he's really pushing for. Now, that's not going to cost you $1.3 million, but I think the other thing that he talked about was making sure that his staff is fairly compensated. And I said from the beginning that when this stuff started to break, I made a post on our premium message board saying I never thought that this was about the money for Bill O'Brien. I thought it was about taking care of his staff, making sure the team has the best opportunity to be competitive, through this the NCAA sanction period and beyond. And I never thought he never has struck me as get me money, get me money, get me money. The one thing though, and I think there was all this talk about no, he's not leveraging, no, he's not doing this. he said that the pinnacle in his profession is coaching at the NFL. And he went back and forth throughout the 15 minutes of saying he loves it at Penn State, he plans to be here, but he also talked about how great it would be to coach in the NFL. And I got news for you folks. This guy, I don't know whether it's going to be next year. I don't know whether it's going to be 5 years from now. I don't know whether it's going to be 10 years from now. At some point, if he has the opportunity, I'll be absolutely stunned if at some point he doesn't coach in the NFL.
Oh, I think he absolutely will. He said today that he sees himself with 25 years left of coaching. How many of those come in the NFL and how many of those come here at Penn State, it's still to be seen, but Mark's absolutely right. The way things work, and he, again, said over and over again, he kept saying, I love being here at Penn State, I'm proud to be the head coach here, but the NFL, and he said, in respect to my profession or his profession, is the pinnacle of his profession, his career. And that's where he's looking to go, guys. He's looking to go to the NFL at some point in time. And I found it interesting the fact that he mentioned that the reason he started having these conversations, and he said the farthest he got with NFL teams was conversations.
He was never offered a job,
right.
He said, yeah.
Yep. Was that what he had done previously and what he had done this year. But I really thought there was an emphasis on what he's done previously. And I think a lot of people, when they heard O'Brien was going to the NFL, or at least looking around, started to say, well, he hasn't really done much as a head coach at Penn State. And I think that maybe speaks more than anything to how soon he could get out of here, just based off of what these NFL teams are looking for. And that's what he's done previously at South and New England and other places.
Yeah, the good news for Penn State fans is I think if Penn State plays its cards right throughout this, I think he's going to be here for the next 4 or 5 years at least. And this is the vital period.
Right, absolutely.
Because I think once you survive the sanctions, listen, Bill O'Brien has proven that he can do some good things and that he's a great leader. In that he was the perfect man for this job. But I think once you survive these sanctions, then all of a sudden this is a marquee job, as great as any other college job out there, and that there will be candidates. Right now, if you were to walk away this year with a feeling that there was contention between him and the university, they would have had trouble getting anybody in here. So it was very key that he came back. Dave Joyner, I give him credit. He's been under a lot of fire. I've said some critical things. Some people have written critical things. He showed up in the media room, answered questions afterward. He absolutely is painting it as if there's no contention whatsoever between himself and, listen, I mean, he's there. We asked him. That's what he's saying. There's no contention between him and O'Brien, and it's a good working relationship. And I guess we have to take him at his word. But at the end of the day, they were able to keep Bill O'Brien, and I think that's key. Anything else from today's PC jump out at you?
Not a whole lot. Curtis Dukes will not be back this year, Bill O'Brien said.
Shocking.
Today. Yep, yeah, really, yeah. So no real surprise there.
He's the only guy, though, he said.
Right.
I mean, and I think if, listen, as little as he played last year, if that's the one guy who's not coming back, wow, that's something else.
Yep. All 7 early enrollees have made it on the campus. We learned this morning via social media that Adam Brennan and Jordan Smith will room together, so a little bit of added information there, not from the press conference. But other than that, everyone's on campus. O'Brien talked highly of Tyler Ferguson, the quarterback from college of the Sequoias, that will be battling Stephen Bencho. He also talked highly about, and for the first time, we really heard him talk about some of the redshirt guys as well. I'm sure we'll be getting into that in the next couple of days.
Yeah, we don't have to go name by name right now, but obviously a lot of the guys who've been talking about at Fight on State are guys. It's different. It's so much different now than it used to be with Joe, because he obviously would never talk about these guys, but O'Brien had no problem kind of diving into it. One other pretty interesting point, he said he was invited to speak at the Coaches Association meeting later. We're taping this on Monday. So later Monday, I mean, he's going to be down there. Is it Nashville?
Yeah,
I think, that he's going to be talking at the Coaches Association thing. So that's quite an honor for him. But overall, listen, this kind of was a hastily put together press conference. Bill O'Brien, I know most people out there have seen it, so we wanted to give a little bit of our analysis. We don't have to go into breaking down every single thing. But overall, one of the more interesting sort of, I don't know if eventful is the right word, but it was definitely worth checking out. Bill O'Brien said he does not envision himself being available much to the media over the next month or so as Penn State wraps up recruiting. So I doubt we're going to have another one of these wraps maybe until close to the start of spring practice. Indeed. So anyway, this is Greg Pickel. I'm Mark Brennan. Fight on State, our season-ending press conference wrap. We look forward to seeing you guys at some point. In the meantime, we're going to hang out here among all this crap down in the heart of Beaver Stadium. See ya.